Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today, in the co-captain's chair, we got the trio of doom here today, Mr. Chris Alo, Mr. Rich Catino. What's going on, guys?
What's up, guys?
What's going on, fellas? How you guys doing?
Doing good. Doing
Yeah.
good. We are going to rank the solo albums of Bruce Dickinson today. 6 albums, half a dozen. Some pretty good stuff for the most part, I think.
Pretty different stuff, I might say.
Yeah, most of these albums are pretty different from each other for the most part. But most of them are pretty damn good. And, it showed that he could do something away from Maiden, right? And be fairly successful on his own, although, we know where the bread and butter is at. So,
Right.
Those couple of years away, he was pretty busy. He's done a few since he came back, but it's been a while since the last one. So we got 6 albums in total. And I'm going to have Rich kick us off with his number 6. We'll go Rich, Chris, myself, and around and around and around we go till we get to number 1.
All right. So my 6 is Skunk Works from 96. So when I went back and I was listening to these, I enjoyed it a little bit more, but I still don't really like it. It's very alternative grunge rock, I noticed. A lot of the riffs and the influence from the stuff that was going on at that time. It's 96, so I guess it's no surprise. But I still enjoy it because it's a solo album, so it's cool to be a little different. I didn't want it to sound like Iron Maiden. I think it's just too much of a product of the times, maybe. But I wrote down, let's see, Space Race. Well, Space Race reminded me of Pearl Jam, I thought. Does that remind you of Pearl Jam?
There's a lot of this album that remind me of that, of the Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back from the Edge with the guitar effects. Faith, I thought had a good chorus and the guitar leads. Dream State, Soundgarden, I thought. A little bit. But the drums, I thought were so flat on this album. The production, the drums, this one and Picasso. The drums are just. What was the reference? The analogy that somebody made recently? It's like hitting a wet paper bag or something. Was that recent? It just doesn't go. Yeah, it's like doesn't go anywhere. And what else? What else did I put down? Can't believe.
It is. There's a big difference between the Roy Z produced albums and the rest in this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And what's the other one? Strange Death in Paradise. I thought it was okay. I think that's probably the one song I think I wrote down. Yeah, the last song, probably my favorite out of all of them. So, it's an enjoyable musical journey, but not my thing. So that's why it's at number 6.
I hear you. How about you, Chris? What do you got for number 6?
Well, on the bottom of my pile, I remember this tour came around, and I had the record, and I was thinking when I was gathering all my Bruce Dickinson crap together, I'm like, yeah, well, why didn't I go see that show at Bruce Dickinson at the Chance, in 1990? And then when I listened to the album again, I'm like, oh yeah, that's why, because I really don't like this record, Tattooed Millionaire. I think the songs are goofy for the most part when it just doesn't hold up well. I think, I don't like the songs. I don't like the lyrics, I didn't like it. It's almost like, to me, there is a huge jump in quality from all of the other Dickinson albums and this album. And I mean, yeah, the Roy Z albums are on a playing field of itself. But I was like, well, what was the difference between Tattooed Millionaire and the other records? And I'm like, oh, well, he was still in Maiden when he did this. So maybe he kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say it was a joke, but when you get that voiceover with "Hello, Semen Stains" and that awful cover of all the young dudes and just the Tattooed Millionaire part. I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you're a millionaire and fucking guys in your band have tattoos. I mean, I know he was bashing on Motley Crue, but I don't know. I listened to the whole record and I'm like, yeah. Then I get to, dive, no muff too tough. I'm like, this is fucking garbage. So I hated it. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I didn't go to the show. Because I hated this record. That's why I remembered it.
You know what that album reminds me of a little bit too is No Prayer, because that's that same era. Sound wise, some of the songs, right? A little bit.
I mean, I'll take that record over this.
Oh, I would
So
too.
will
Yeah.
I. Yeah, I think No Prayers, an underrated,
Yeah.
decent album, but it's same era, so it
Same
has a
era,
little
yeah.
bit of has a little bit of a familiarity to me, I think.
But yeah, I hated this record. I'm
In
like,
parts.
oof.
For my number 6, I had a really hard time between the two albums you guys just mentioned because I'm not crazy about either one of them.
Mm.
And I ultimately went with Skunk Works at the bottom. I find this a really boring album, to be honest with you. I know there are people who love this album,
Yeah.
but I think Rich hit it right on the head. It's like, this is like kind of Bruce's like alternative metal album, sort of. I wouldn't even call it metal though. It kind of sound, it kind of sounds like it's like Alice in Chains meets King's X in spots, but not even that interesting. There's a couple decent songs here. Inertia's pretty good. Faith, you mentioned, is really good. I like Dream State. I kind of get where you're going with the Soundgarden comparison there, but I don't know. It's just like this kind of moody, alternative, grungy thing, the whole thing through. It's not a lot of good riffs on it. I don't really care for the guitar work on it. I don't really even like his vocals on it that much. And I just find that it's just not interesting to me at all. And I've had this since it first came out, and I've tried to really like it, to get what everybody else is saying, but I just don't in the end when it comes down to it. So that's my number 6. Back to Rich.
5, do you have Balls to Picasso?
I do. This guy right here.
Okay. So again, I wrote down that it dabbles in styles of rock. It's 94. So I thought it dabbled in a lot of that kind of stuff. There's like guitar effects. Again, those flat drums. You guys hear that too? Like the drums just go nowhere. There's nothing to them. But let's see. I wrote down Cyclops, Hell No. Well, Hell No is, again, it reminded me of Pearl Jam influence. What else? Gods of War. I thought Laughing in the Hiding Bushes. I always remember that song. That's one of the more pleasing songs, I thought, for me. And my favorite is the ballad Tears of the Dragon. I think it's the best vocal. That's such a great song. I always go back to that song.
That might be
So
one of the
probably
best
Laughing in the
songs.
Hiding Bush and Tears of the Dragon are my favorite on that.
Tears of the Dragon might be one of the best solo songs he ever did.
Yeah.
It's great. Absolutely great.
Yeah. So better than, Skunk Works, but still, I don't really go back to it except from a couple of those songs.
Cool. All right, Chris, you're number 5.
Skunk Works. I never really liked it back then that great. I mean, but some people do love it, and I agree with everything you guys said. It's kind of alternative-y and kind of spacey in times, and couple tracks I thought were okay. I like it better than right off the first, whatever the fuck Space Race I didn't like that much, but Back from the Edge and Inertia, once I started listening to it again, I was like, oh yeah, this is better than, I liked it better than Tattooed Millionaire. I was just like, oh, just get me away from No Muff Too Tough. I'm like, that is, just get me away from that.
Well, I will give you this, because my number 5 is Tattooed Millionaire. I will at least this has like a serious tone to it.
Right.
Tattooed Millionaire is very kind of like lackadaisical. Like,
yeah.
So you know what it is? Without saying it, there are parts of Tattooed Millionaire that's like a freaking hair metal album.
Totally.
I just said it. Sorry, everybody. It's like a glam metal album in spots, and I think it's like, I remember when that first came out, it kind of took me off guard because it doesn't. Granted, Rich said it perfectly early on. It's like we didn't really want it to sound like Maiden, but this is like really like kind of like far removed. Yeah. Son of a Gun, I kind of like. Title track is okay, I guess. Hell on Wheels, I kind of like. Licking the Gun, I think might be my favorite song on the album. I don't like the production of the album. I think it needs more guitar heft. Some of the songs are kind of catchy, but
I thought so.
I have a hard time taking the album seriously.
Yeah, to me, the whole thing's like a joke.
Yeah.
Yannick Years is on that too, this album. The one album that he's on.
He is on that. I don't remember who played on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just, and you know what it is? All these years later now, when you listen to it compared to a lot of these other albums we're going to talk about, it really pales in comparison.
That's it. To me, that you just nailed it, Pete. Like when you listen to all of them, I'm like, what's the saying? One of these things is not like the others. That's, to me, it's Tattooed Millionaire. That's the one that sticks out.
Yeah.
You know who produced it? I forgot.
Who?
I don't remember.
Chris How do you pronounce his last name?
Sangarides, really?
Sangrides.
Tandy
wow.
Yeah,
Say it again.
Sangrides.
Sangrides. He
Yeah,
produced it.
he worked on Painkiller, and he worked on Eternal Idol for Sabbath, and he did a lot.
Yeah. This just doesn't have that punch that those albums have.
No.
Yeah.
He worked on Thin Lizzy, Thunder and Lightning too, I believe.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really care for these two albums.
Yeah.
You can take Tattooed and Skunk Works, and no interest in those. Now we get to the good stuff, right?
Yes, for sure.
All right, Rich, what do you got?
Well, 4 is my 4-2 is Tattooed for me. So I like it better than the other two that are a little more grungy and alternative, but like all the things you guys said. But I also wrote down Licking the Gun and Zulu. It reminds me of 80s Aerosmith too. I think a couple of these songs on this album have that vibe as well.
Licking the Gun, absolutely. Right. It's got that kind of raunchy.
Zulu, Lulu, yeah.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's got a couple catchy rockers too. I think Born in 58, it's kind of catchy. I thought the title track could have fit on No Prayer for the Dying a little bit too, maybe.
Oh God, no.
Maybe? No?
God,
I'm off on that? I'm off? Because the songs like Hooks in You and Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter, a couple of those kind of songs.
I mean, the music's all right, but the lyrics it's just so bad. And the whole time I'm thinking, all right, well, are you still mad at Vince Neil because he fucked your girlfriend? Because there was that whole thing I remember reading in some book or some magazine that the Motley Crue and Maiden toured together, and it was either Bruce's girlfriend or his wife wound up hooking up with Vince Neil. Who cares? Yeah.
Well, out of this year, this is 91. Vince Neil put out a better solo album than Bruce Dickinson. 91, 92 was Exposed, right? Vince Neil Exposed.
Vince's first solo album is way better than Tattoo.
Yeah, I do remember
and
that.
You guys know how I feel about Vince Neil, so yeah.
Came out around the same time. That was a smoking album.
Well, I think the Tattooed Millionaire wasn't that 90 though? Because I kind of remember
it was late 90. Okay.
90. Okay, it is 90. Yes. And that was No Prayer, right? Or No Prayer was 91.
Yeah, No Prayer for the Dying, right? Wasn't that 91?
90 or 91.
Because I thought I could be wrong, but I thought Bruce Dickinson played the Chance in the summer of 1990, because then I thought I saw Anthrax and Iron Maiden at the Meadowlands in January of 1991, I think.
It's one of those two.
So, what did I just do with it? This is a promo single.
That's why I think it sound-wise, sonically, it kind of.
Yeah, I mean, this says 1990. Obviously, it doesn't have the date, but I was hoping maybe it would have one of those. Oh, it says March 1990 on the inside.
Exposed was 93, actually. So we're 2 years off there.
Vince Neil's was 93?
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought it was 92, 91. It's 93.
So that Van Halen concert was 93 at the fairgrounds with Vince Neil opening.
Yeah, I didn't go to that.
Yeah, I was at that. I mean, that was all about Steve Stevens for me. I mean,
right.
Vince sucks, but Steve was like amazing album for him. Anyway, we digress.
Yeah.
How's that? That's a tangent.
All right, Chris, back to you for number 4.
I thought I had another copy of this somewhere. I think I do. But I only found the one, Balls to Picasso. I kind of liked a couple songs on here, Cyclops, like you guys said, Tears of the Dragon, Laughing in the Hiding Bush. There's a couple really, decent tracks on here. And just listening to it right from the get-go, I'm like, oh God, this is way better than Tattooed Millionaire.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get to it in a couple of minutes. I like Balls to Picasso quite a bit. So I went with, does anyone have a better copy of Tyranny Souls? I just got this cheesy promo. That's all I got.
Tyrannia Souls. Yeah, I got that. I got this one.
There you go. There we go.
I actually found, this is crazy. I found 3 copies of Scream for Me Brazil. 2 of these, and then this triple disc version. I was like, Jesus, I didn't even open this one. I'm like, all right, I got to listen to this song. And then somebody when I was looking up Bruce Dickinson stuff, somebody had a best of Bruce Dickinson, and I thought it was one of those ones where, like me or you, just put a fucking track listing of our favorite Bruce Dickinson albums, and then I was like, oh no, I actually own that. that there is a best of Bruce Dickinson album, a double album
crazy.
actually.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, yeah, this is from. It's a double disc. 2001, it says.
Jeez, that's probably got like 60% of all the songs from these albums.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of tracks on here. Holy shit!
Aside from
yeah.
Tyranny, because that came out in 05.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a lot of the two good Roy Z records.
Wow. All right.
And No Prayer came out in 1990.
There we go. So they came
Right,
out around the
okay.
same time. All right.
Right, but I think the tour was early '91 in the States anyway.
So number 4 for me is Tyranny Souls. And again, I like it a lot. I think for me, my top 4 are all really, really good. Roy Z producing, again, nice and heavy, playing guitar as well. It's got a nice crunch to it. Abduction, great song. Soul Intruders is like thrash metal. I think there's some really aggressive stuff on here. Power of the Sun, Kill Devil Hill, River No Return, Devil on a Hog is another really great track. It's heavy, it's evil sounding. I like it. Really good, heavy album. Might have been my number 3, but I have like a soft spot for the next one, so I'll save that for my number 3. So back to you, Rich.
All right, 3 is Accident. Cool cover.
Yeah.
So this is the first one with Adrian Smith with him. So what I noticed when I was listening to this, though, I thought a few of the songs sound like they're one type of thing going on, one kind of style of metal, and then the other ones get a little more traditional. Like you got the heavy gritty guitars, but you got Freak. I thought Star Children and Welcome to the Pit sounds a little more modern, don't you think? Maybe.
Good.
And then when I got to the middle, as I'm looking at the track listing here, like Taking of the Queen with the acoustic guitars and the melodic stuff, and then Dark Side of Aquarius was more traditional metal and Road to Hell. And then you got the piano and the violin on Man of Sorrow, the ballad, and then the title track and The Magician. So that's right in the middle of the album as I'm looking through the track listing. And then the Welcome to the Pit that I mentioned, that's towards the end. That's number 10. So it's weird. It's like kind of like half a little modern, then half kind of like traditional metal, I think.
There's a lot of good variety on that album, I think.
Yeah.
I'm just experimenting with some stuff, and I thought it worked.
It's weird how that middle section, as I'm looking at it, it goes more traditional, I think. But yeah, so that's where it lands for my number 3. Just I think because of that reason, it's slightly maybe uneven for me, slightly inconsistent, but still good.
Yeah. Yep. All right, Rich, what do you got? I mean, Chris, sorry.
Whatever. I'll answer to anything. My number 3 is the final one of the Roy Z trilogy, Tyrannia Souls. It's dark, it's heavy. I think Adrian Smith is definitely the one thing missing from this record. I remember interviewing Bruce on this when this record came out. He was on the road with Maiden, playing the Ozfests with Sabbath. And I remember parts of it, I remember talking to him going, well, it's really almost odd that you put out a solo record while you're on the road with Maiden, and he had no plans, and he never did tour for Tyrannia Souls. But I think it's a really good record. I mean, of the 3, I think it's my least favorite, but still it's a great record.
Yeah, that album just kind of came out and just like came and went, right?
It just kind of came and went and just kind of disappeared. And, I think everybody was just in Maiden mode, and including him. And I remember asking him, like, well, was it good for you, personally to rejoin Maiden, but bad for you, like, professionally as a solo artist, because, there's just the solo career, just as it was coming up, boom, it dropped off. But yeah, this record did not get the notoriety of the other 2. And it's interesting that the Chemical Wedding got the notoriety it did, because if I'm not mistaken, there was no tour for that. He didn't do any shows for Chemical Wedding.
I don't remember seeing them.
Yeah,
I remember he came. I specifically remember. I got a thing for remembering concerts, and I remember some concerts I didn't go to. Like I said, I remember not going to see him on the Tattooed Millionaire. And I guess it was it 96, 97, something like that. I'm like, still kicking myself 25 years later. It was Bruce Dickinson and Geezer Butler played Toad's Place in New Haven, but I didn't have Accident at Birth yet. So I didn't know how good it was. So I was going to go with a friend, and then we didn't go. And then afterwards, I got Accident at Birth, and I was like, oh, fuck, man, I should have totally went to that show. And then I wanted to see Bruce for the Chemical Wedding, but yeah, he never came to America. Only time I ever saw Bruce Dickinson solo was 2002, his last ever solo gig at the Wacken Open Air in Germany.
Wow.
And that was the one and only time. And I mean, I'm assuming at this point we'll never see him solo.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was at Wacken the following year, 2003.
2003. Okay. Yeah, I was at that one too. I can't remember who played, but I'm pretty sure I was there.
That was see if I remember now. Slayer. Twisted Sister.
Yep. Twisted Sister took over for Iced Earth, and Slayer did all of Rain and Blood, and Vader came on right after Slayer.
Testament. Who else? Stradivarius, Gamma Ray, Running Wild.
Yeah.
Annihilator. I never saw Annihilator before I saw them there. It was a good lineup.
Yeah. No, that was a good one.
Bruce Dickinson and Geezer Butler at Toad's Place.
Crazy, right? I mean, it's crazy.
What does that place hold? 600? I mean,
yeah. You know, I was telling somebody not too long ago, and I'm like, two other tours that did shitty small places like that in the 90s was Dio and Motorhead and Black Sabbath and Motorhead. You know, I saw both of those, and I saw Sabbath and Motorhead at Toad's Place, and I'm like, there was still room for more people. I'm like,
what about Iron Maiden? Did you guys see Iron Maiden with Blaze?
Both tours.
So I
saw 96, whatever the X Factor was. I saw Maiden at the some tiny club in the city, and they were okay. And then the 2 years later, it was Dirty Deeds, Dio, and Iron Maiden at the Roseland.
That's right. That's the show I saw in the city.
And I hated the Maiden set so much. About 3/4 of the way through, I was there with like 8 people. We all just said, "You want to get out of here because this show really sucks," and we did. I thought it was terrible. I don't know what you thought, Rich, but I hated that.
Was that the set list where they play the usual staples at the end, but
the first 3/4 it was all the Blaze stuff, and I will never forget. Blaze is like, "All right, we're gonna do some old stuff." The crowd was like, "Yeah," and you know what the old stuff was, Pete?
First album with him.
Nope. Afraid to Shoot Strangers. True story. So I hated that show. We left early. I thought Dio was great that night, but Maiden sucked.
But you never thought you'd say that.
Yeah. Oh, what? I'm gonna walk out. I'm gonna leave an Iron Maiden concert in the summer in New York City when I'm there with 8 friends drinking beer because the show sucks so bad. I'd rather sit on a train and go home early than listen to Iron Maiden. Yeah, you're right, Pete. I never thought I would say that. And thankfully that's never happened again.
And Roseland was always hot and sweaty.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, I saw them for X Factor. It was at the Birch Hill, New Jersey. And that place,
I hate that place too.
Oh, yeah.
That was never big to begin with. So then you put all these people in there to see Iron Maiden. It was packed.
Right.
I mean, packed. That was a fire hazard waiting to happen.
Oh, sure. I think the X Factor tour, I saw them at the Academy in New York City, which I only went to a few times.
Yeah, it's a weird place too.
Yeah. I saw Merciful Fate there, and I saw somebody. But yeah, not a good place.
Jeez.
But yeah, boy, we really got to. I'm sorry if I drag this off. But you know, some of you guys like us getting off.
It's the 6 degrees of Bruce Dickinson. That's why.
There you go.
It's true.
All right.
Did you guys ever see Bruce solo?
I never saw him solo. No.
I saw him once. I just don't remember what tour it was.
Well, if it was in the States, it was either Tattooed Millionaire or Accident at Birth, because those were the only 2 times.
Yeah, I didn't see him for for Tattooed because I saw
Yeah.
the No Prayer show. I saw that in New Jersey.
Gotcha.
All right, my number 3 is 1994's Balls to Picasso. You know what it is? There are like a handful of songs I really love on this album. That kind of
Yeah,
like
there was some really good stuff there.
Yeah, I mean, I love Cyclops. Hell No is great. Tears of the Dragon is great. Shoot All the Clowns is fun. Laughing in the Hiding Bush is really good. 1,000 Points of Light, Gods of War. I mean, it's just a good rocking album, and I think way better than Tattooed Millionaire for sure.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny how they went from this to then doing the Skunk Works album, which is like completely different than this. But
Yeah,
but I like it. I think it's really good. It holds up well. I think my favorite vocals from him on a solo album are on this album. I think he sounds amazing on this album.
Yeah.
But I think I think he's got 2 other albums which are even stronger than that. So we'll get to that. I think we all have the same opinion of those 2 albums. It just depends on where they fall. So
Yep.
Rich, you're number 2.
I don't know. I'm throwing a monkey wrench in it.
Yeah.
I am.
Oh, that's right, because you haven't even picked Tattooed yet. Oh boy.
No, I did.
Oh, you did. All right. So what haven't you?
Yeah.
Geez.
It's the battles between Chemical and Tyranny.
Oh,
okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
The plot thickens, huh?
Yeah.
Am I next?
You are.
You.
I am. So, are you guys sitting down?
Always.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
2 is Chemical for me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Because when I was going back to it again, like Accident, it still feels a balance between modern and traditional again, I thought. Do you guys hear that too? Maybe a little bit better than Accident, but it still feels like that modern rhythmic thing going with the traditional thing. It's a little bit of back and forth. What do you think? That's what I'm hearing.
So by you saying modern, do you mean like new metal-ish?
Not new metal, but just what was going on at that time. What year was this album now?
98.
This is 98, right?
98. So not really new metal, but just modern.
Okay.
Who was out in 98 around that time? Give me some names. Am I thinking of like
Limp
Seven
Bizkit.
Dust? Not Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit and
Like
Korn.
maybe, am I thinking like Seven Dust and some of those bands maybe?
Yeah, they were around back then.
That's Pantera was still kicking it right around that time.
Yeah.
So.
Not quite like that though. That was really, really heavy, especially those last couple albums. So, there's some of that still I thought left in it, but there's still more consistent songs, but there's still the guitar effects, the little sound effects on some of the guitars and moments. So that I think gives me that feeling too.
Well, Roy had a way different tone and different idea on how to play riffs and things than Dave or Adrian,
You still get those sound effects and stuff going on a lot throughout the album too. Like on the title track, and I wrote down, so I wrote down The Tower, Book of Thel, I really like.
That's my great.
Favorites. Book of Thel and Jerusalem, the acoustic guitar.
Yep.
Those 2 I wrote down. What else? And the title track too. And that hook is always, that can come in my head anytime. So yeah, that's why it's my number 2.
I hear you. It's a good one. Hey, 2 is good, right?
Right? Yeah.
2 is good. Chris, what's your number 2?
Yeah, I mean, to me this was a real tough one. To me, this is the 1-2 punch of Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules, or Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman. Just those, to me, it's just those back-to-back records that are so good and so close. And I listen to them back to back again, and I'm like, they're both so good. But yeah, I'm gonna put Chemical Wedding at number 2 for me. This is the original one, and this is the re-release slip cover one. I mean, they're both great records. I just like the songs a smidge better on Accident of Birth. I think their Chemical Wedding's a little darker. Accident of Birth a little brighter. Some of the songs are a little faster paced. I just like the songs a little better. So that's why it just inched out Chemical Wedding for me. But I think they're both his masterpieces.
Yeah, I agree. I had a hard time with my 1 and 2 also, and I went the opposite direction. I picked Accident of Birth as my number 2. Really dig the Derek Riggs artwork on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's the the original one with my. Apparently I bought it used from Rock Fantasy. My original, I paid $5.99 for it, and this is the re-release.
Yep.
I like the
kind of
re-release.
cool. We got different artwork, just slightly on all.
Yes, and you're right. And if you open it up on the inside, yeah, it's different. So there's technically 3 album covers, and yeah, it looks cool on a shirt. God only knows why he toured for this one and didn't tour for Chemical Wedding.
Yeah, I don't know. This is good. I think I love the pairing of Adrian Smith and Roy Z. I think they work really well together. There's some
100%.
cool guitar stuff going on this album, but the riffs are heavier because Roy is a much heavier player, I think, than those guys. But it's just a lot of metal on this album, whereas Skunk Works is really not a metal album at all. Freaks is great. Star Children is crunchy as all hell. Road to Hell, Taking the Queen. I don't know. Top to bottom, I think it's a really strong album. For me, I think obviously my number 1 is Inches It just slightly, but I could change my mind next week because they're.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's so close. And I was thinking before, not to get us off on a tangent, but it is fascinating how Bruce Dickinson puts out 2 killer solo records and then rejoins Maiden, and right around the same time, just slightly later, Rob Halford puts out 2 killer solo records and rejoins Priest.
Yeah, go figure, right? Because it took both of those guys a while to get the solo career really going, right?
Yeah.
They hit that pinnacle, and it's like, all right, now that everybody is all talking about me again, I'm going to go back to the big band. And oh well.
And did you guys see Iron Maiden when he played the City, when he went back to Maiden?
Yeah,
with
I
Adrian
saw him
Smith
at the Hammersmith Odeon, not Hammersmith Odeon. What Hammerstein Ballroom?
Yes.
Yeah, I
When
was
they
there.
played, and I haven't heard them play them since then. Stranger in a Strange Land and Killers.
Yeah, they did Strangers in Strangeland, Killers for the first
So
time
good.
in forever. They brought out Aces High and Power Slave.
Yeah.
Bruce sang 2 tracks from the Blaze era. That was a great show.
Great set list.
Yeah,
at
that
the
really
Garden
was.
show. I saw that at the Garden. So it was what, Queensryche?
Nope, that was the
No.
next year. That was 2000. Yeah.
Brave New World tour, right?
No. In 99, when Bruce first rejoined the band, they came out with a double album, Greatest Hits, which was actually a triple
before
disc.
they released Brave New World. Okay,
Before
gotcha.
they did Brave New World.
Yeah, no, I saw the Brave New World show.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
which there was like a game connected to it, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was called Ed Hunter, and it was a video
Ed Hunter.
game, and it
Yes.
was a 2 CD Greatest Hits. The gimmick was that the fans supposedly voted on the track list for the video game, which was ported over to the Greatest Hits album. So then when Maiden toured, they played a lot of these songs which they hadn't played in forever. Like Rich said, Stranger Stringland, Killers. They brought back Phantom of the Opera, Aces High, Power Slave. I can't remember which 2 Blaze tracks they did, but it was a great show. And that wasn't, if I remember right, that wasn't like a huge tour. Maiden did 2 nights at the Hammerstein Ballroom, and then it was next year for the Brave New World tour where they jumped back into the arenas and they toured with Halford and Queensryche.
Yeah.
And the big stage production and arenas, and that was they toured America for, I don't know, probably 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah, it was a good show.
So yeah, I saw that Brave New World tour twice.
Cool. All right, Rich, you're number 1. I think we know what it's going to be.
Yeah, it's Tyranny. The underdog, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah,
Kind of got lost.
little bit.
Kind of got lost in the shuffle.
Really did.
When I was,
Looking back.
yeah, but when I was listening to them again, I got a new appreciation for it. And I love Adrian Smith. Him and Bruce Dickinson write some of my favorite Iron Maiden songs.
Right, but Adrian Smith's not on Tyrannia Souls.
I know, which is odd.
Right.
But maybe because the previous 2 albums, like I said, it's got a little bit of that mix between some modern stuff and traditional stuff. This one's all traditional metal, I thought. This is
Yeah,
definitely
it's a
more,
dark, heavy record.
Yeah.
this is more cohesive front to back. So that's why I went with this one over the other 2. Because I got to listen to them like a lot in the same day just to see how they compare. So this one edged those other 2 out, even though I like the other 2.
Were you cooking at the same time? What were you cooking?
I was not making pasta or anything like that,
Oh, okay.
like last time.
All right.
I was completely focused on Bruce.
Nice.
All right.
So yeah, I wrote down most cohesive songwriting, Abduction, Soul Intruders is great. The acoustic melodic, Navigate the Seas of the Sun. I love that song. And then what else? Believal is cool. And then the title track as well. 9 complete songs and then 1 intro in the beginning. So yeah, I really got a new appreciation for Tyrannia Souls.
Good.
Nice.
That's good. And how about that album cover, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Weird,
Great on a
right?
shirt.
You know, I miss Adrian Smith, but he was back in Maiden, and him and Bruce are maybe my favorite writing team in Maiden, aside from maybe Steve Harris. I don't know. But when I go back and I look through those songs, through Maiden songs that are my favorites, it's a lot of Dickinson, Smith,
Yeah.
or Smith by himself. I know that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Except that Bring Your Daughter. I hate that fucking song.
Who wrote that?
That was Bruce. That was on was that on one of his he wrote that for that Nightmare on Elm Street
For that-
4, I
Yeah,
think.
he wrote it for a movie.
I
Yeah.
hate that fuck. I once pledged to a radio station $10 to not play it again. Because I hate that song. And then Maiden did it. But that was probably just to make Bruce happy, because they probably knew he had a you know, two
By
feet
the
out
way,
the door.
I love the 6 Degrees of Bruce Dickinson, by the way. But I'm going to No Prayer right now, and yeah, that's a Dickinson song
Yeah.
by himself.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of it got a lot of airplay, but yeah, I hate that song.
But Hooks and You is Dickinson Adrian Smith, which is another catchy song, kind of like Bring Your Daughter to the Soul.
I like that better.
But it's better, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, Chris.
Yeah, like Accident at Birth. Great record. They're you know, those 3, that trilogy, you know, all really good. And it's interesting too, like if he ever wanted to do some solo stuff, man, talk about, you could just do those 3 records, you know, or if you really want to milk it, do, you know, one and then, you know, some just tracks from the other ones. But I mean, they're all getting so old, and hell, that Maiden is still supposed to be, they're still milking that whatever the last tour was, whatever the last
Connected to another game.
Yeah, no, it's they're still on the last video game tour.
Yeah, Legacy of the Beast.
Legacy of the Beast, yeah. Because I mean that was supposed to finish in 2020. Now that got bumped till 2021, but I don't think they're doing it this year. I think it got bumped again to 2022.
Yeah.
And the hot rumor, I'm sure you guys heard it too, that there's a Maiden record done and in the can.
Not surprising.
And they're just sitting on it, which makes sense. Why put it out now?
Right. Can't do anything with it, really.
Yeah. And especially if they still going to do a video game tour, it's like, holy shit. So when are we going to get this new record? Like 2023?
It's a long way off.
It's a long way off. And nobody's getting any younger.
No. God, by the time that comes out, it'll be another double album, right?
Oh, for sure.
Maybe a triple. All right. Chemical Wedding, number 1 for me, 1998. There's the guys right there. Another good album with Adrian and Roy Z on guitars. Big, heavy album. Like you said, Chris, a little darker than Accident Birth,
Yeah.
but I don't mind that. King and Crimson crushes. Title track is great. The Tower is phenomenal.
Yeah.
The epic Book of Thel might be my favorite song on the album.
Yeah.
Trumpets of Jericho. Just so many good songs on here, top to bottom. Really, really strong. Can't go wrong with either one of these 2 at the top for me. And that's my list.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's interesting too. You mentioned the Roy Z. I remember being excited when Maiden got back together and then they were going to do a record. And I was like, oh, well, I'm sure Roy Z is going to produce it, because since he already worked with Adrian Smith and Bruce Dickinson, and then it wound up being what's his name, Kevin Shirley.
Kevin Shirley.
And I know a lot of people shit all over him on his production end.
I would like to hear Roy do an album with them.
I would love to hear him do a Maiden record.
Yeah. Oh, well, maybe someday.
Yeah.
Maybe
Hell,
that-
put him in the band and kick out that fucking ballerina dancer. I hate that guy.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
Oh, God.
Poor Yannick, man.
Yeah.
Definitely overdoes it.
Oh, for sure.
And you know what it is? Yannick was really cool when he was in Gillen, like all those million years ago. But in Maiden, he's just kind of like, he's like fluff. He's just
He's the eyesore. It's like, who invited this guy to the fucking party?
he's been in the band like what, 30 years now?
Yeah, I'm sure that's a loyalty thing because he stuck it out when Maiden was playing the dive bars like we were fucking talking about. So
Yeah.
that, hell, I'm surprised they didn't keep Lace Bailey around just to like get the guys fresh towels or something.
That's another guy. I've said it before, I'll say it again. He's a pretty good singer, and his solo stuff is good.
Oh yeah,
He just
He's
was
got some
not a
good solo
good fit.
albums.
He was not a good fit in Iron.
not a good fit. 100%. He's not a nice guy. His solo stuff's good, just not a good fit for those records, and a terrible fit for Maiden Live.
Yeah. Oh well. Now we're gonna get all the comments about how Blaze was amazing in Maiden.
Yeah.
Those albums are.
Although
great.
none of you who are going to comment were there in 1998, so
Well, those two albums, they have a few good songs, I think, but a lot of the songs are kind of boring too.
oh yeah,
Yeah, they just don't sound like good Maiden songs to me. I don't know.
they just drag.
And the choruses, like, what is it, Virtual 11? I call it virtual repetition. I mean, some of those choruses, they just keep saying it over and over and over and over again.
Oh.
Like, oh my God,
Lightning strikes twice, strikes twice.
cut it back, like a
Yeah.
few verses there. Geez, a couple lines, do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, there you have it, everybody. Ranking the albums of Bruce Dickinson solo. So in the comments below, please rank them as you like them. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer. We got 6 of them. Rank all 6. Hopefully you've heard all 6. If not, just rank the ones you heard. Doesn't really matter. As we've said, there's some really, really good material here. Again, showing that Bruce could really cut it on his own in a big way when he had that opportunity. So want to thank Chris and Rich once again for helping out here today, and visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. You'll be seeing more from this trio coming up really soon, so stay tuned, and make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you want to check out some of our merch, go to the link below. We've also got a link to our Ko-Fi page for donations. So I want to thank everybody for watching. For Rich Catino, Chris Alo, I'm Pete Pardo. See you all later on.